Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Jag here, and in today's class we're going to continue with our Math 10 content. What we're going to do today is completing the square part 2. Okay, with that, let's get started. I'm going to pick one question again from the textbook here. Okay, we're going to complete the square. So remember, the purpose of completing the square is to change the standard form of the actual quadratic equation. I'm changing it back into the vertex form. Okay, and the reason I'm doing this is when I change it into the vertex form, it gives me the vertex of the parabola right away, and it's easier to actually graph out the parabola. Okay, so let me pick a question here that we're going to try. Okay, and all we're going to do is complete the square. So let's do x squared plus 12x plus 30. Okay, when you do complete the square, okay, your teacher can give you numbers or quadratics where there will be a decimal. Okay, so this looks like a really simple example that I chose here. You're going to put brackets around the first two terms, okay? Whatever the term is in front of the x here, so I see a 12, I'm going to divide that by 2, and that gives me my perfect square, which is 6. Make sure you are showing your work here as well, okay? The teacher will be looking for that. So I'm going to write out all the steps, okay? So we have x squared in brackets plus 12x. I'm going to take my perfect square, which is 6, okay? I'm going to add it, so plus 6 squared minus 6 squared, close the bracket, plus 30. Is everyone with me so far? Okay, so we're just adding and subtracting the perfect square. And you notice when we do this, it is not changing the actual equation of the quadratic, okay? So let's just simplify inside the bracket. So I have x squared plus 12x. So 6 squared is 6 times 6, so 36. So I'm going to do plus 36 minus 36 plus 30. Okay, so again, you just notice that I'm not actually changing the quadratic itself, okay? In the next step, you're going to take out whatever that negative perfect square is, okay? So in this case, it's negative 36. I'm going to take that outside, and what we're doing here is just what you're doing is factoring whatever's inside the brackets. So again, like I said before in my last video on completing the square, I don't actually need to do this because it's a perfect square. So what I'm going to do is put my x. You notice how this first sign is positive, okay? It's going to be x plus your perfect square, which is 6 here in this case, x plus 6 whole squared. Okay, when I took the negative 36 outside, it's going to be on the outside now, okay? So on the outside, I have 30 minus 36, which is negative 6. Okay, at the end, make sure you put the y back there, okay? And this is actually your final answer. Usually when you change it into the vertex form, okay, the teacher will ask you, what is the vertex of this parabola? So I'm going to write vertex here. Okay, so everyone can see it. Okay, make sure you are changing the sign inside the bracket. It says x plus 6. The x point of the vertex is negative 6. Okay, the y point of the vertex is what's on the outside, which is negative 6. So one more time, make sure you notice I am not changing the sign for the y point of the vertex, which is on the outside. You're only changing the sign for whatever is on the inside of the brackets. Okay, so my vertex here is negative 6 and negative 6. Because there's no negative sign in front, okay, of this equation right here, it means it's positive and it's actually opening upwards. All right, are there any questions there? Okay, good. So with that, let's try one more example here. Okay, so I'm going to just take this off. Okay, let's do one more where we're doing a simple example for completing the square, okay? So let's try this one. So it says y equals x squared minus 8x, okay, plus 13. So again, I'm just going to put brackets around the first two numbers here, okay? And whatever's in front of the x, I always divide that number by 2. So I notice here it is negative 8, okay? It really doesn't matter if the sign is positive or negative. I'm just going to do 8 divided by 2, which is 4. And 4 is going to be my perfect square here, okay? So we're going to do equals x squared minus 8x. Make sure you're watching the signs here, okay? And we're going to do plus 4 squared minus 4 squared close the brackets, plus 13. So the value for C here, okay, is positive 13. And you notice even in the last example, I just kept it outside the brackets. I didn't change it at all, okay? And let's write one more step here. So we're going to do x squared minus 8x. Okay, 4 squared is 4 times 4, so 16 here. So I'm going to do plus 16 minus 16 plus 13. Okay, and you notice I can actually get the exact answer within maybe 4 steps or so. If you feel like you need to write down more steps, I would just go ahead and do so. All right. So in this step, I'm going to take the negative 16 outside. So I'm just going to write it right here. Okay. And you're always taking out the negative perfect square, okay, out of the brackets. What we're left with is x squared minus 8x plus 16. Okay, on the outside, I have positive 13 minus 16, so negative 3. Okay. And what I'm going to do is factor what's on the inside. Again, I don't need to factor it because it is a perfect square. So I'm going to put equals x. And you're always just using the first sign that you see here. Okay, after the x squared, I see minus. So I'm just going to put minus here. Okay, my perfect square is 4. So it's x minus 4 whole squared. Okay, and you notice even if you do want to do the product and sum here, for the x squared minus 8x plus 16 in the brackets, you will end up with this answer, okay? And minus 3. Okay, so the question or the answer just looks like this at the end. I have y equals x minus 4 whole squared minus 3, okay? I'm going to just box my final answer, and at the same time, again, the teacher is going to ask for the vertex. Let's just put vertex here. Okay, for the x point of the vertex, I have to change the sign, so it's x minus 4. The x point is going to be positive 4. On the outside, I see it's minus 3, and I'm going to just put minus 3. Again, do not change the sign for the y point of the vertex, which is on the outside. We're only changing the sign for the one that's inside the brackets, and this is the x point of the vertex, all right? Also remember that the x point of the vertex is also known as the axis of symmetry, okay? And it basically is dividing the parabola in half, okay? And on both sides of the axis of symmetry, the parabola is going to be symmetrical. All right, when you do write the axis of symmetry, make sure you're just writing it like this. So x equals to 4, okay? And I'll just put axis. So this is the axis of symmetry, just in case the teacher does ask you, okay, for that. Okay, so with that, let's go to this next question in the textbook. Okay, it's actually matching each graph with the appropriate equation. Okay, but a lot of the times after you do complete the square, okay, teachers will ask you to solve for the value of x. So I'm going to take this question off, and let's try doing that. Okay, let's actually solve for the value of x. Okay, so I'm going to take a question from the textbook here. So let's do this one. So this is already in the vertex form, so it's x minus 5 squared plus 1, okay? And we're just going to solve for the value of x. When you're matching it with the graph and the equation, just look for what the vertex is and whether it's opening up or down, okay? So what I'm going to do here is, you see how this 1 is right here, okay? And the 1 is positive. I'm taking it to the other side. It becomes negative 1 equals x minus 5 whole squared. Does everyone see that? Okay. And in the next step here, I'm going to try and get rid of the squared sign. And the only way I could do that is by taking the square root on both sides. Okay. So I'm going to cross out the squared there. Okay. It gets rid of the squared sign. And this is actually what I'm left with. So I'm left with negative 1 square root equals x minus 5. Okay. And again, I'm trying to solve for the value of x. You notice if you take your calculator and I put negative 1 and the square root of that, it shows up as an error, okay? And the reason for that is that you can't take the square root of any negative number, okay? So in this case here, this is not possible, but I would actually write no x-intercepts. So when the teacher does want you to solve for the x-intercepts or the value of x, that's what I'm actually solving for, okay? And you notice if there are no x-intercepts, that means that the parabola does not intersect the x-axis. Does everyone see that? Okay, so I can't take the square root of the negative sign. Don't write no solution. Okay, I would maybe write no x-intercepts or no real zeros. Okay, so let's take a look at one more example here. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, so we're going to try one where there is a value for the x. Okay, so let's try x plus 5 squared minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to keep it simple here so everyone can just grasp the concept. I have negative 1. I'm going to take it to the other side here. Okay, the value becomes positive 1 equals x plus 5 whole squared. Okay, does everyone see that so far? Okay, to get rid of the squared sign, I'm going to take the square root on both sides. Every time you take actually the square root of a number, okay, you have two answers. It's actually positive or negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to write that here. Positive, negative, square root of 1, which is just equal to 1. Let's just put 1 there. And that equals to x plus 5 because the squared is now gone. Okay, now you notice I have positive 5 here. I'm going to take it to the other side. It's going to be negative 5 plus or minus 1, which is equal to x. Okay, now I'm just going to take off this answer here on the previous example. Okay, there are two values for x here. Okay, so x equals negative 5 plus 1. And I can see x equals negative 5 minus 1. Okay, and again, because we already went through how to use the quadratic formula, you notice that there were two answers. This is actually a faster way to actually get the x-intercepts as well. Okay, so we can do negative 5 plus 1, so negative 4. I'm going to box that. Okay, and the second x-intercept is negative 5 minus 1, which is negative 6. And this is how you actually solve for the x-intercepts using the vertex form of the parabola. So that's actually also one of the reasons I can actually change it by completing the square. Changing the parabola from the standard form into the vertex form is a faster way to find the x-intercepts. It's a faster way to find also the vertex. And the whole point of that is so I can actually graph out my parabola. Okay? Alright, so that looks good. If there are no questions, that brings this video to an end. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see everyone in the next video. Thanks. Bye.